Brisbane's flight paths will be redrawn, the LNP says, after an interim report commissioned by Airservices Australia made nearly 50 recommendations to reduce suburban flight noise. Key points. The flight paths were updated when Brisbane's second runway opened in 2020. The flight paths were updated when Brisbane's second runway opened in 2020. The federal member for Brisbane says residents have been putting up with unreasonable noise ever since. The federal member for Brisbane says residents have been putting up with unreasonable noise ever since a trial involving planes flying at higher altitudes en route to the airport is already underway. The interim report by global air traffic consultants Trax International was released on Friday. It made multiple recommendations to resolve the issues that followed the opening of the airport's second runway in 2020, which led to hundreds of flights being redirected over Brisbane suburbs. The top priority objective is to maximize the number of Brisbane flights that arrive and depart simultaneously over water, rather than overflying populations in the city and surrounding suburbs, the report said. A long-term recommendation also included the examination of the scope and expected benefits of a fundamental redesign to the wider airspace system, including Brisbane terminal airspace, adjacent airports, and en route sectors. A separate community forum established by federal LNP members in response to sustained community anger over aircraft noise released its quarterly report, based on the Trax recommendations, on Monday. Planes flying over suburbs have caused constant noise issues for residents. Back to the start. Federal LNP member for Brisbane Trevor Evans told ABC Radio Brisbane that residents had been putting up with unreasonable and unnecessary noise. We really need to go back to the start of designing the flight paths, and that's what the government has agreed to today, he said. M to mute, left and right arrows to seek, up and down arrows for volume. Listen 11 minutes 2 seconds 11 Brisbane flight paths are being ripped up and redrawn. Download 10.1 megabytes. Mr. Evans said Deputy Prime Minister Barnaby Joyce had agreed to all of the recommendations made by Trax. Mr. Evans said he did not know how much it would cost to redesign Brisbane's flight paths, but reviewing them could take up to 18 months. The Greens previously announced a policy for Brisbane Airport to have a curfew, which was strongly rejected by the airport. Labor candidate for Brisbane Madonna Jarrett was contacted for comment. In a column published by News Corp last week, Federal Labor spokeswoman for Transport and Infrastructure Catherine King promised a permanent, community-led body to manage flight noise. Airservices Chief Executive Officer Jason Harfield said the organisation was committed to considering all opportunities for improved noise outcomes for the Brisbane community. Last year, the Aircraft Noise Ombudsman found Airservices Australia had not provided complete information to residents about the impacts of the 2020 flight path changes. A 12-month trial of planes flying at a higher altitude when arriving and departing, and the removal of intersection departures, has already begun.